In this video, I'm going to go through factorizing quadratics where the coefficient of x squared, that's the number next to x squared or being multiplied by x squared, is bigger than 1. And there is a very clear method to that. Firstly, you would you will multiply AC. A is the coefficient of x squared, C is the constant on its own. So step 1, I'm going to multiply 2 by 6 and I get 12. Step 2 is to find or list the factors of 12 of AC in pairs. I always start with 1. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, 4 times 3. I've repeated, so I stop. And then I choose the pair of factors that add up to b. b is the coefficient of x. So b is 7. I need the two numbers that add up to 7, which is 3 and 4. And then I'm going to set up my bracket. And my brackets always have the same setup. They will always start with ax. Remember, a is the number next to x squared, but it's not ax squared, it's ax in both brackets. So both brackets have ax. Because both of these signs are pluses, it means both of my signs in both brackets are pluses as well. And then I put the pair that I've chosen, so 3 and 4. And step 5 says simplify one or both brackets. Now, you may not have to simplify any brackets, but you need to check. 2 and 3 don't have any common factors, so you're not going to simplify that. But 2 and 4 can both be divided by 2. If you simplify a bracket by division, you have to divide both parts by the same number. So your final answer, your final pair of brackets, this doesn't change, 2x plus 3. And this one, 2x divided by 2 is 1x, or just x, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's your final answer. Now, for this one, you can see that the number, the constant on its own, the number without a letter, is a plus, but the middle term is a minus. And this means that your brackets are going to both have minuses. So let's start the process. This is A, this is B, and this is C. So 8 times 5 is 40. I need to list the factors of 40. 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8. I need to find the pair that add up to 14, and you can still think of it as an addition because both of these signs are the same. So the two pair that add up to 14 is 4 and 10. So I need to set up, that's step 3, I've chosen my pair, and I need to set up my brackets. Both have to start with ax, 8x, 8x. Both are minuses, and I put my numbers in, 4 and 10. And then step 5 to get the final answer is I have to simplify. Well, 8 and 4 both divide by 4. Yes, they both divide by 2, but you have to divide by the highest common factor, the highest number that divides into both. These ones won't divide by 4, the 10 won't divide by 4, so I divide both of them by 2. As long as each bracket is divided by one number. So this bracket, both parts are divided by 4, and this bracket, both parts divide by 2. Your final answer is 2x minus 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and it is 4x minus 5. This one again, this is A, this is B, this is C. Because the final constant, the number without a letter, is a negative number, this means that your brackets are going to have a plus in one and a minus in one. And it doesn't matter which one you write first. You can write the negative one first. So let's start. We're going to do 7 times negative 15, and that's negative 105. And then we're going to list the factors in pairs. But because I'm finding a negative number, I always put two lists. And I start like this, 1 times negative 105, and then I switch the sign around, negative 1 times positive 105. It's not an even number, so it's not going to divide by 2, but I'm going to divide it by 3. So that is 3 times negative 35, and then I swap the signs, negative 3 times positive 35. It's not going to divide by 4, but I'm going to divide by 5. So that is 5 times negative 21, and I swap negative 5 times negative 21. Of course, it's going to be 7 times negative 15, and negative 7 times positive 15. I will try to see if it divides by 9. It doesn't, so I'm going to stop there. And this time it's going to be finding the pair that subtract. Okay, so the pair that subtract. Find the pair that subtract to equal B. And B is a positive 16. So if you try this one, for example, you will get 5 minus 21, which is a negative 16. That's not what we want. So we'd switch it around. This is a positive 21 and a minus 5. So 21 minus 5 is a positive 16. So actually, that's not the one we want here. We want this one. So that's step 3. Step 4, I'm going to set up my brackets. It starts with AX, both brackets, so 7x, 7x. And then minus 5, plus 21. And then we see if they simplify. 21 divides by 7. So my final answer, my final bracket is 7x minus 5 and x plus 3. 21 divided by 7. Now this method works perfectly when you're factorizing 3-term quadratics, 1, 2, 3 quadratics made up of 3 parts. But we're now going to look at quadratics made up of 2 parts. And a lot of these are very simple because they are the difference, the subtraction, there's a minus there, between 2 squares, square numbers. 4 is a square number, x squared is a square term, and 81 is a squared. These brackets are very easy. One of them is a plus, one of them is a minus, and then the rest is identical. To find the rest, you would square root 4, you'd get 2, 2 and 2, x and x to make x squared. Then you square root the 81 and you get 9, and you put 9 and 9. Nearly identical brackets, except there is a plus and a minus. The same here. That's a square, 64 is a square, y squared is a square, and it is the difference. So I set up my brackets. I've got a plus, I've got a minus. Square root of 9 is 3, so that's 3x and 3x to get 9x squared. Square root of 64 is 8, so that's 8y and 8y in the other bracket as well. Now finally, not all quadratics simplify or factorize into double brackets. Sometimes they factorize into a single bracket. And even though this is a minus, this is not a square number and neither is 2. But there is a common factor. They both divide by 2. So when you factorize, the number that you're dividing by you put outside, then you open a bracket and you put 9x squared minus 1. At this point, you need to realize or recognize that these are now all squares, and therefore this bracket is made up of the difference between two squares. So this bracket can be factorized into a double bracket, 1 plus, 1 minus. The square root of 9 is 3, so 3x and 3x. And the square root of 1 is 1. So that is your final answer, 2 and 3x plus 1 and then 3x minus 1. And that is the end of this video, factorizing quadratics.